Tony Picente on the line right now. Yesterday, the issue was flooding. The governor was in town. Not enough. Certainly not enough for the entire region.
No.
What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are it's a start, and we still have more to do, and I agree with that. But we have to tackle what we can at each time, and the governor of the state matching what we put up in terms of starting this one project and hopefully some others. But I made it clear that, and I said it even on our end, that even what we put up was not going to be enough to help the other areas throughout this county that got hit. So we'll move forward. But as we get it, we have to start work. The important thing is for us to start working on it.
I would think that the most constructive, the most important thing at this point is to prevent the flooding, or at least the severity of the flooding, from happening, and some of this money can go towards that.
Yeah, it can, and you have to look at this in all different ways. And I'm not an engineer, as I say before, but when you look at especially the Sequoia Creek area and the main area we're talking about, I mean that does where it overflows is where it's having the most difficulty, and that's where when it overflows, it's also backing up on the other end. So when you do fix the lower end of the creek in this case, it's going to help alleviate some of the other the top end, which is in the southern part of the county, and we have to get to those areas. And we've been working for the last month cleaning up the culverts and trying to look at retention ponds and seeing if they're doing their job and if we need to build some more, which we think we do, and that's part of the Mud Creek story and some of the others. So we have a lot more to do, and I told the state this is just the start. That and the same way I told our legislators, and that this is just the start. We need to do more, and this is going to be an expensive fix over the next year or two.
Well, you said you were not an engineer. Fortunately, the governor is. He said they're going to make it deeper and wider. But can I ask you, in the area that he's talking about, what this money is earmarked for, do you put in a request for that, or do state assessors come in and say, this is what we want to focus on first?
When you do these mitigation plans, especially on the creeks, you have to go through all these hoops and levels because of DEC regulations and such. So you just can't, a commission or in this case, is a Sequoia Creek Basin Commission, which was established, with all the municipalities, which is a great way to do this because it's collective and it's collaborative and it's everybody working, and pooling that money to do it together. You have to put a plan together, and it's got to be accepted by them. And the DEC commissioner who came a couple weeks ago, and we walked that creek literally into those areas after the flooding to see what was there. And in past, other environmental conservation commissioners and officers are more restrictive, but he understood and saw the problem and saw the fact that creek does need to be widened, especially when you look at that part behind Carbone and Joe Tahans and the curve that has to be met or has to be maneuvered by that water. I mean, that's a curve that can't be handled by some cars. I mean, it's pretty sharp, especially when water is traveling at that rate. So he clearly noticed that and gave approval, and the plans are to widen that and to layer it, because you try to what they call ladders or steps, that the water as it comes it widens out and levels out higher and higher, but it doesn't go over the banks, and that's the intent. So that's what's going to be done in this project.
The governor seemed pretty guarded yesterday, and certainly reporters were not allowed to ask questions when he was up on the podium, because I think at this point he knows one of the questions is going to be nano jobs and all this money that's been invested. Did you guys converse at all? And is there tension since AMS?
No, there's no tension. Between us, there's none. I mean, there hasn't been. I mean, there's the impatience of it, and I know that we have, and we do have and have been working with the state on a couple projects or backfills, if you will, on that were, some were in play with that, along with AMS, and seem to be picking up steam, and there's nothing anybody wants more than to get that done. So, clearly that's a priority, as are other things. And but I thought when we first went, they said they were going to take questions afterwards, and then
then they didn't.
And he didn't.
But
when we were, the program I had said, at the end he was going to take questions.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened there.
Andrew.
Tony, we had talked yesterday briefly about the conversation you had with him, and then you said he may be stopping up in the next few weeks again for another visit. Will that be flood related, or will that be? I know you can't get into too much, but will that be on a separate issue?
Yeah, it'll be on a different issue, and still keeping track of the flooding. He wanted he's told me he told me yesterday he wanted to stay on top of this and see what else needed to be done, and let him know how it was going, and then he would come back for. We've got a couple other things that we'd like to move forward, so it would most likely be another issue.
All right. Jobs issue? Question mark?
Could be.
Could be. All right. I have Lou on that. You've become like the magnet for callers.
Yeah, I know. What happened? It's going to be,
You come on the air, and I will tell you that normally when those calls come in, they oftentimes tend to be adversarial. And you don't shy away, and we appreciate that. So,
thank you.
Lou is on the. Lou Poche is running for Common Council City of Utica. What's your question for the county executive, Lou?
Well, it wasn't exactly a question, but since the county executive is there, I want to say good morning to you, sir. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine. And I just wanted to ask, has anything been discussed with regard to the arterial and the flooding with the state of New York?
Yeah,
we were up there. Yeah, I can't hear you. Could you
he's about to respond to that. So, Lou, let's get his answer. I'm going to hang up, Lou, and let you listen from the radio, okay?
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Tony, on the issue of the arterial.
Yeah, the issue of the arterial is the issue of Nail Creek. And, in terms of what's under there, and I was told yesterday we have done some, and even through the brewery have taken a look at that because they had flooding as well as a result of that, which is a result of Nail Creek that runs under there, and there is some blockage there that we need to get in and underneath and clear, and then you have to put. In those cases, it's not automatically visible from the outside or from the culverts that you look at. You got to get cameras in there and run them through and find out where the debris is, and so that's an area that is clearly. These are all areas that are on the radar or not on the radar, are on schedule for repairs, and that's one that we've got to get in there and clear that out.
So this is Nail Creek actually runs. It didn't used to run underground, but at some point in history we covered it. Is that true?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So that is so obviously but accessibility
there's some blockage there. That,
okay.
Is causing because when this goes back to the events of July 1st. The amount of rain and the amount of water that was pushed through and the debris that went along with it just really plugged up areas that had never been plugged before. Mm-hmm. And that was one of them. You never saw the arterial plug, and everybody thought it was the construction, but there's other issues.
Right. Okay. All right, so when you say a couple of weeks, I don't have to do another poll to see when he's coming in or anything like that, right?
No.
Although it's always fun to do.
I know it is. I know.
The month of August, though, you're predicting at some point the month of August.
I am.
And I know we're alluding to a lot here, but we keep hearing, and there was a big story in the paper the other day, in the OD, about all of the activity and the outreach that seems to be going on, and the interest that's going on in the Marcy site.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm not.
No, there is. I don't know if that'll be we'll be ready for that one, but that one's picking up steam even more so, and we're still doing a lot of work out there. The transformer's been delivered. We're doing the transmission upgrades. We're doing some other infrastructure work on the site. So. That work continues, and every day we do more of that work, it's more attractive to the companies we're talking to because they see the progress. So,
all right, interesting. Governor in town yesterday. Money for flooding. Tony Picente, thank you for taking the time. We'll talk again. Talk again soon.
Okay, guys.
We'll break.